Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for March 17th. I'm your host, Aaron Armstrong, and with me today is Mel. How you doing, Mel?
I'm doing well, except my neck's a little bit sore from all the whiplash of trying to watch Vanessa play the game.
Oh boy, yeah, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. We are here, hopefully live. We're having some issues with some of the streaming capabilities today, which, not a whole big problem because I think Big Brother Canada is having some issues with their streaming as well. Mainly the problem of like turning the feeds on. There's a button I think that they're just like they can't press it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I wish they would have some sort of "we're away, we'll be back at a later time," or just literally anything other than refreshing the page constantly. Are they back? Are they back? Are they back?
Mm. Yeah. So yes, I think we are having some trouble here connecting to YouTube. For some reason, this has been a problem lately. But this honestly, guys, not a ton to update from yesterday because, as I alluded to, the feeds were down for a very large portion of the day here. So we'll get into it. It looks like we are up on Twitch and some other maybe places as well, but. Yeah, so you can find us on Twitch. I tweeted out you can always go to robhasawebsite.com/watch-RHAP-live. If you
Just
want
rolls off the tongue.
does. It really, really, truly does. So for those of you who are listening after the fact, I apologize for all the preamble here, but we are here to talk to you about everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother Canada 8 live feeds. It was day 17 in the house, and as I said, feeds were down for most of it. And I will give you a warning here, they have not come back up yet. So they have been down for
What is it, like 18 hours now?
yeah, we're approaching I believe they went down sometime around 4 p.m. ish. And so we're just about 5 hours below 24 for that. So it's a lot. It's a lot. We'll get there. We'll get there as to the current speculation as to why.
Which one?
Yeah, we'll try to help you out here. But this is going to be a quick update here. There's even the stuff that happened was like happened very quickly. So as you know, Sheldon is HOH. He put up Maddie and Ree. Maddie won the veto with the help of JL because it was a pairs veto twist. So JL is also safe as Maddie is going to take herself off the block. Sheldon plans on putting Minley up as the replacement and sending her home, probably. He told her about this the night before. And so she woke up and immediately got to work, started to tell people, so I'm going up on the block. That's not good, right? You're with me, right? This is a bad idea. You're gonna vote for me to stay, right? And then pretty much everyone that she talked to, Carol, Jamar, Kyle, Vanessa, like all of these people are saying, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, we're voting to keep you for, of course." They're all lying to her.
There's a note that she also went to Maddie and campaigned to
Oh
Maddie and said,
yes.
"You're keeping me over your number one ally, right?" And Maddie was like, "Yeah, definitely. Yep."
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. They're also all feigning ignorance of the fact that they knew about this ahead of their. Oh, he's planning on doing that. Oh man, yeah, that. Oh boy, that Sheldon. He does the things.
Are we gonna get confessional soon, like every reality show where it's like, I should get Academy Awards for my excellent acting? They're not even have any idea what's going on because that seems like that's gonna happen every week now.
Yeah. So, Jamar in particular, feigning ignorance about this. He says he didn't know any of it ahead of time. But what happens here is that Min is going to be like, he says it's because I made up this rumor that that there was a 5-person alliance between you and Sheldon and Brooke and Hira and Sue, and I did not start that rumor. I was told that rumor. I did not start that rumor. I swear I did not start that rumor. And Jamar believes her. It's believable. And he should believe her because it's actually a little bit true here. It was Vanessa, and Vanessa's actually in the room as she's doing this. Trying to ignore the situation, just kind of like doing her makeup in the mirror, and she's like, "Well, you're a vote for me, right, Jamar?" And he's like, "Uh-huh." And she goes to Vanessa, and she's like, "You're voting for me, right?" And Vanessa's like, "Well, yeah, you know, if you have the votes, right? I mean, I'm not gonna be like one of two people that vote for you, right? But you know, if you have the votes, sure, yeah, I know." So
It's like the worst possible response. Okay, if everyone else in the house does it, I'll vote for you to stay because, like, so I won't be left out. Like, that's not anything. You'd be doing that regardless of who it was. No one wants to be the lone person voting for someone to be evicted.
So that's Vanessa already dropping the ball a little bit here. Then Jamar, having talked to Min, not pleased about the situation. He's going to go right to Sue out in the backyard. And Sue's out there with Hira. And he says, Min just came up to you. She says she knew nothing about that 5-person alliance. Like, why is she going on the block? She's being set up. Like, who said that Min was the one who started that thing? And Sue says, oh, well, I heard it from Chris. And he just starts walking off. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to go get Chris. He's like, no, don't do that. Don't tell him I told you that. Please, Jamar, don't do that. And he's like, what? Why? She's like, he's going to know I told you. He's not going to trust me. Please, Jamar, don't do this. And he's like, okay, you know, I'm not going to do it. But why are we doing this? Why are we listening to Chris? He's a rat. Why are we not targeting Kyle and Chris? I don't understand. You know, he's lying about her. He's lying. She just came crying to me, saying she did not do this. What are we doing here? And Sue's like, okay, but just you can't run off and tell him that. He will not trust me anymore. If you do that, if I can't trust you to not tell people things that I told you, then I won't be able to tell you things, Jamar. And he's like, I'm not doing it. I already told you I'm not doing it. And she's okay. But Jamar is very, very upset, and he really feels like why is Min like, and so to sort of contextualize this, Jamar was okay with Min being backdoored. In fact, he suggested that it was a good option. But after Min talks to him, he believed what she was saying about the situation, that she wasn't the one causing the problems. And so at this point, he feels like, okay, it was Chris. Chris is setting her up. Chris and Kyle are in on this. They're using her as a scapegoat. Why are we not just going after those two? We know for a fact that those two are the dangerous ones. And so he's talking about this, and he's saying, like, you know, what, this is such a weak ass move. Like what is happening here? If you guys aren't going to, you know, do what needs to be done, then I'm out. I'm just gonna go solo. I'm out of this alliance. So Sheldon is going to join this conversation, and it continues on. And Jamar is he's very not pleased with the current state of this alliance.
His mistake is that he's trying to target Kyle to Sheldon, who's in an alliance with Kyle. But I also don't necessarily blame him, because people just can't get on the same page. So Jamar thinks he's with Sheldon, but Sheldon doesn't want to be with Jamar. He wants to be with Kyle, and that's not being communicated to Jamar. It's all just very confusing.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to continue on. Jamar is going to end up talking more with Min about, like, okay, what do we do from here? How do we get you to stay? We need to target Kyle. Kyle is the big bad. You need to say that you're going after Kyle, and he ends up talking to the cameras. He's like, I just want to turn up on everyone right now. I'm a savage. What kind of weak ass move is that? F that alliance. F everything. I'm going solo. Solo dolo.
Solo dolo.
They're weak, bro. Weak. I'm an effing savage.
If Jamar leaves, I will very much miss his camera talk. He's very entertaining.
He's a savage. Yeah. He's going solo dolo, like a savage. So Jamar is like fully out on the alliance at this point. He is very much not here for the move to backdoor Min. In the meantime, Sheldon and Brooke are having a conversation as she showers, and he is talking about how, like, honestly, I'm kind of fine wherever this goes. If Min manages to convince people to keep her, great. Rhea goes home. Honestly, the way she was talking, I almost believe that she won't target me. I almost believe that she still would go after Kyle. And I think that's a little bit true. And he says, so, like, everyone thinks that I'm just playing weak and scared and that I'm just like, this is a weak move. And that's perfect. Like, that's exactly what I want them to think. And so Sheldon is pretty happy with the overall state of things, other than the fact that that he's losing Jamar, which he should be more concerned about, but he's not.
I will say I'm extremely annoyed that they had to have this conversation while she was showering. They talk for freaking 16 hours a day, and you can't hear anything when they're showering. Very frustrating. And this is what nominations should be. I am so tired of like what happened last week. Oh, we'll nominate pawns and then we'll see. And like now he says we're happy no matter who goes home, and that's what it should be, and that's good. And yeah, it doesn't leave any opportunity to be screwed.
Yes. So then we have a series of events here. Normally what I'd do is I'd give you like the through line here, and that's what I'm going to do. But usually that's because there's a big event and then there's a ton of fallout, which is like the real important stuff. And the problem is that we have this series of events, and then right as we get to the fallout, the feeds go down and they haven't come back up yet. So we're gonna do our best here, but here's kind of the general stuff of what was happening here. So Min was going around and campaigning. She's talking about there needs to be the right balance of predator and prey in the house, and so you need me in order to go after Kyle, and Kyle is Dane and the pretty boys, and don't be when Chelsea and Sam left, they just stomped down to the end, which is completely the wrong tactic to take here. What she needs to do is figure out that Vanessa is the one that snaked her, and Vanessa was really the one who is causing all of the drama, which she is taking all the heat for. That's really the only thing that can help her in this situation, as far as I'm concerned.
Has Min even lied? Like, has she lied much? She's getting blamed for all of this stuff. Everyone thinks she's this huge snake and no one can trust her. I can't even think of when she lied.
There are a couple of times, and unfortunately for her, those times are the things that are going to be brought up in her disastrous house meeting later. But yes, it's the wrong way to campaign, and we'll get into that as well. But she's focusing on this predator and prey balance of the house thing, which is so nebulous and like completely off base for everyone she's talking to. She's campaigning to the likes of Maddie and Angie, saying things like you need a right balance of predator and prey, and after she leaves, they're just laughing at her because, like, what are you talking about? Like, why do you think me as Maddie will vote Rhea out of the house for this concept of needing a predator and prey balance? What? And then if you're Angie, like, why would I vote Rhea out of the house? You hate me, I hate you. Okay, you're a predator, I guess. I don't know why that makes sense to keep you for me. It just doesn't make any sense, and this is not working.
I can't believe she campaigned to Angie. That's just so. It's just so Min. Who else would do that? So great.
Yeah. So definitely the wrong style of campaign here, but she does eventually get to Brooke, and Hira is there as well. He's just in a lot of these conversations, but not really contributing
He's just
much.
There the whole time. Hira is just like standing off to the side, just kind of like looking, and they'll sometimes acknowledge him, but for the most part, he's just blending in.
Yeah. So Min asks her about this 5-person alliance thing. And Brooke says, I did hear that. Did it come from you? Min says, absolutely not. I did not start this rumor. I don't know what to do. And Brooke asks, like, where did it come from then? Min's like, I honestly don't know. And this is unfortunate for Min because it came from Vanessa, but either she like doesn't remember that it came from Vanessa, or because Min remembers hearing it from Carol, but then vaguely remembers that Vanessa was there as well. It was obviously told to Min in a situation where it was the three of them. Vanessa obviously was the one who leaked this information because she knows about it because it was mentioned in KVBS meetings. And so if Min was able to like lock in on, oh no, it came straight from Vanessa, it would really help out. But she again either can't remember or just doesn't know that it was straight from Vanessa, and so she's not able to really give a good answer for that. But Brooke also talks about okay, so I heard that you're saying that I told Vanessa to throw the competition. Is that true? And Min says, yes, I did hear that. Wait, is it not true? Like, did you not say that? And Brooke says, absolutely not. I did not say that. And you can see the wheels turning in Min's head. She's like, so wait, it's like, seriously, you really didn't say that? And Brooke's like, I swear to you, I did not say that. And she's like, I believe you. If that's true, then I've been lied to. I've been played. And Brooke's like, well, by who? She says, by Nessa. I mean, she told me this.
The name, it finally appears. It only took 2 weeks.
Yeah. And so she's like, I gotta go. I mean, she says, you know what? I'm thinking of calling a house meeting. Just get this all out in the open. Get everything, just clear the air with everyone. And I'm not normally an advocate for house meetings. Most people don't know how to handle them, and they usually backfire on the person who calls them. However, there are uses for house meetings, and I do think that this is one of those times where Min really could use a house meeting. She's being blamed for a lot of things, and if she is able to get Vanessa in the hot seat, Vanessa is a bad liar. The only reason her lies work is because they don't make any damn sense. And so if she's able to get Vanessa in the hot seat, then she, I think, can really come out on top and make Vanessa seem like the liar and clear her name, which will go a long way to help save herself this week. So she's
unfortunately, that's a very big if.
Right. So she's talking about, starting this house meeting. She had asked about it before in the hot tub area with Vanessa there. And Vanessa was like, no, I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should focus on like individual conversations. But when she's talking to Brooke, Brooke is like, go for it. Yeah, sure. So Brooke runs to Sheldon and she says, I was just talking to Min. She said all these things. I believe her. I think that Vanessa has been snaking us. And Sheldon's like, it's Min though. And she's like, seriously though, the read I got from her, like she was shocked. I'm telling you, she has been trashing me this whole time. And Sheldon's like, okay, look, I trust your read, but I think we can still make this work. I think that, it was, if it's down to you, then you just need to repair your relationship with her. If it's because of Min will be going home. Like, I don't think we need to be too concerned. We just need to go to Vanessa and prepare her for this house meeting so that she doesn't blow us up. And so this is the point where I'm like, okay, they have enough information at this point. Like there's plenty more information to come out, but at this point, I think that Sheldon is in a spot where his fear of Vanessa going so rogue as she actually is preventing him from actually seeing the truth. He wants her to be somebody he can smooth over, but she's just not. She's Vanessa. And so he's in this spot where the information is there, but he's just not looking at it in the right way.
Yeah, I'm lost for words. I don't know. It was very frustrating to see him go to Vanessa. I understand where he's coming from, but if he knows that she's against them, then why give her that heads up? And I know it's to protect themselves, but could she really blow them up? I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
If Vanessa says I've been in a secret 4-person alliance from day 2 with Sheldon, Brooke, Kyle, and myself, that would demolish Sheldon's game.
Is that really a secret? He spends 24/7 with Brooke. Sure. He refuses to target Kyle. I don't know. It seems obvious to me. So.
There's a massive difference between I'm not going after Kyle because I have a relationship with him and he's not coming for me, and I've been secretly working the game with Kyle from the start and playing everybody else that I've been interacting with. with. Like nobody, like Sue in particular, like Jamar here, all of these people, they would never trust Sheldon for a long time after this point, and it guaranteed it's Sheldon and Kyle on the block next week if any of those people win the HOH next week.
It's really ironic that all they've done is talk about the pretty boys, and we don't want pretty boys, and can't let the pretty boys happen. But what the pretty boys did was not make their lines obvious and just refuse to target the other guys. So the fact that Sheldon won't even entertain the idea of putting Kyle up, I feel like should be pretty obvious to people who won't stop talking about the pretty boys.
Well, sure, yeah, especially when like his reasoning isn't always the best, but there is still some sort of like there's some logical argument that he can make to make it work. But yes, I mean, obviously they should be seeing through this, but they're not. And if Vanessa does out them, then they would. And so that would not be good. It would not be good for them. So what he does, which is not to say that he is making the right move by trying to work Vanessa back into the fold, because I don't think that can work, but it is a fear of his, and that part of the fear is, I think, logical. And so he does go to Vanessa. He prepares her for what Min is going to say. Min is spending her time talking with Jamar some more. She's talking with Carol, and in that time, Sheldon is saying to Vanessa, just deny that you even said that Brooke was going to throw the veto, or that Brooke said to throw the veto, and just like, don't say anything and don't worry about it. Like, Min is already considered a liar. If you just let her talk, then she will, she'll talk herself out, and it'll all be fine. Just don't even say much. Just be quiet, essentially.
Could he have done this in a way that didn't give her that much information? Could he have just told her, look, Min told us she's going to have a house meeting. Just know, totally believe you. Like, we'll deal with it later. Like, we're not going to talk much during the meeting or something like that, and not give her a direct heads up about what was going to be said? Or is he just so freaked out that she'll panic and out them?
Well, he wants to give her a heads up about what she said, because what she's going to say, because the point is that he wants her to be prepared so she doesn't freak out and just start blurting out information. Like, there is information that he needs from Vanessa that he doesn't really know that he needs from Vanessa, but the information she's more likely to reveal is the stuff that will harm him. And so his priority, which I do think in this instance is the right priority, is that it's better for him not to know the true extent of Vanessa's duplicity than for Vanessa to go completely rogue and just out the KVBS to the entire house. And so I do not fault him for this in terms of a strategic move here. I think that he made the right call in this moment. However, the wrong call that he is making overall is that he's doing this with Vanessa and then seemingly not following up with it. Granted, we don't know what his follow-up was because the feeds have been down. So, but I'm assuming that there's no follow-up, and we'll get to why I am assuming that. So that, I think, is where his mistake is coming in. In this moment, I do think he handled this meeting decently well for his game, and I do think it's going to benefit his game pretty well, in part because of the preparation he gave to Vanessa.
Because I guess it doesn't benefit him at all. Like, if everyone knows she's a snake, like, what does that do? He knows she's a snake. He can work with that. He can keep her in for now and then deal with it later, versus having her be exposed, which doesn't really do much.
Exactly. And if she just sits there and takes heat without exposing his part in it, then all the better. That's another person who's definitely going to be targeted with Kyle, with Chris, when that target goes over toward them, and it's not going to be coming his way. So, it's it kind of works out. So that's what Sheldon's doing. Like I said, Min is now talking to Jamar and Carol, and she's talking about, like, Vanessa snaked me. Like, I thought she was my number one. I told her all these things, and she's working with Kyle still. And Jamar's like, Kyle, this is what I'm talking about. Everybody's just working for Kyle. And Carol there, of course, is like, oh yeah, it's all Kyle's fault. Now, Carol knows this is all on Vanessa. Although she might be worried that Vanessa is actually working more with Kyle than she anticipates. But she is also now pawning it off on Kyle. And this is where things are going to start to go off the rails for Min, is that she's falling into the exact same trap that Sheldon is falling into, where Sheldon is assuming, okay, what Vanessa is doing makes no sense. So she must be being manipulated by Min. Min must be manipulating her into doing these things that make no sense for her own game. So if we get rid of Min, then Vanessa will be back to us, essentially. We can be the ones to manipulate her into doing things instead of Min. And Min feels the exact same way, only from her perspective, it's Kyle that's manipulating Vanessa. That Vanessa must have been pretending this whole time that she was working with me and against Kyle, when secretly she's been working at the behest of Kyle this whole time. And so Kyle is still the Dane of the season. She really thinks that Kyle is Dane, and that, oh my God, I didn't realize, I thought that Vanessa was, it was Esty, only I had won her over and convinced her to go against Dane. But in reality, she really is Esty, and she's just doing exactly what Kyle's telling her to do. And that misperception is really going to harm her when it comes to trying to get the information revealed that she needs to be revealed. And so what nobody seems to realize is that Vanessa is not Esty. She's not really anybody. She's just Vanessa, and she does Vanessa things, and so that's going to be an issue in this house meeting that is coming up.
That's been the best part of all of this, is that everyone's logic is, well, Vanessa can't have said that because it doesn't make any sense. And I loved your tweet, which is like, that's what I've been saying. It doesn't make sense. And it's weirdly working for her. I mean, I'm sure it's going to blow up in 2 weeks, but for now, she's not getting blamed for anything because it makes way more sense for Min to have said it than for her. And she's just been making it up because reasons.
Mm-hmm. So Min does confront Vanessa. She says, "Why did you tell me that Brooke wanted you to throw the veto?" And Vanessa says, "I didn't tell you." She's like, "What? You're lying, Vanessa! Oh my God!
This reminded me
I trusted you."
Tommy versus Jackson, when Jackson just made out a blatant lie, and Tommy's like, "No, I didn't. I need to be so excited to prove that I didn't tell you." And it just, unfortunately, the person that's freaking out looks like they're lying, even though they're just so flabbergasted at how the person, they're looking at them in the eye. They're like, "You told me. We both know this, but you're denying it."
Yes. So she's I can't believe you're doing this, Vanessa. Why did you do that? And Vanessa's like, why would I make that up? How does that benefit me at all? She's like, that is such a good defense. When your actions are so nonsensical, it's so easy to point out. Why would I do that? It's so nonsensical. It's like, well, there's not a good argument against that. So that happens, but then they call the meeting. Min...
Actually, while Min is confronting Vanessa, everyone else is in the HOH room, like twiddling their thumbs because they're waiting for a house meeting, and it's like starting without them.
Yes. So Min calls the meeting. She stands in the middle of the living room. Everybody's circled around, and I still feel like this can work for Min. That she needs to just immediately put Vanessa in the hot seat and interrogate her and get to the bottom of all of these things that people are blaming Min for, and get Vanessa to be in a position where she's having to deny it and having to explain where this information came from and why she, is actually, the one. Like, if Min trusted Vanessa and she's now betrayed by Vanessa, usually how these things work is that the person lying, it's hard to get away with lying. Like, it's a lot harder to lie in a confrontational situation than people anticipate. Usually the person that's telling the truth is able to come out on top, in the sense that, like, you can just tell the difference between the person who is like, "I can't believe you're doing this," and no, what are you talking about? I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Especially when it's Vanessa, who's a terrible liar, like we said. So I feel like this can work for Min. However, Min's approach to this, I felt, was completely wrong. She starts the conversation, the house meeting, by just doing a speech, and it's very similar to the speech that she's been giving already in the house. She starts talking about, like, so I've been blamed for things, but none of that's true, and the real danger in the house is Kyle. She barely even names Vanessa at that point. And then she starts talking about, like, and what I need you guys to understand is that in this house, you need the right balance of predator and prey. And you know what the pretty boys did is that they got out Samantha and Chelsea, and after they left, then the pretty boys just dominated. And so you need me in this house. And it's just like, what are you doing? The whole point here is that everyone is here. You can clear your name. But she just kind of does a speech, and the house guests are all prepared for this now. Like, they've all been warned about what was going to say. She took too long to make this happen in the first place, and they've all heard half of it already anyway, because she's already pitched it to them, this predator and prey stuff. And they're being pretty condescending. Kyle is in particular, obviously, and he's like, oh, can I ask a question? Can I go? Oh, questions at the end, Kyle. And Min is just like, I'm trying to talk here. And so she finishes, and then they start asking her questions. She cedes the floor to the audience. She lets them control the conversation. This whole thing was her house meeting, and she lets them control it. They start asking her questions, and they start deviating from the topics that she needs to be on. And so they're asking her about like other things, like, hey, JL's like, you know, you told me a bunch of stuff. Like, what was that about? And she doesn't really know how to answer. Maddie starts asking questions. So last week, I've been told that you were actually more involved in the plan than you told us. And Min's like, well, I mean, I did know some stuff. At the time, I was kind of working with Chris and Kyle, but, you know, when you saw me shocked, I was really shocked because I was, like, worried about the plan actually backfiring on me. And so, and she just starts getting into all of this stuff that has nothing to do with, like, the saving her, right? And she's, like, working on Maddie and JL, who are locked votes for Rhea to stay, and it's just completely, it's not going well for her. And anytime that, you know, Vanessa chimes in, it's barely even to deny what's happening. Luckily for her, Jamar is going to chime in a bit and start questioning Vanessa, and they do get around to this idea of, like, why did you say that Brooke was going to do that? She says, I didn't. And then they quickly gloss over that, like, so, like, what's all this talk about you being against Kyle? Jamar's like, you come to me, you say that you don't want to be with Kyle, that you don't be dragged down by him and all of this stuff. And Kyle's like, yeah, I gave her permission to say whatever she needed to say, to pretend that she's not with me. And Vanessa's like, yeah, that thing, what he said. And it's like, okay, as long as everybody now hears that. And this is the most damaging thing that happens to Vanessa in the whole house meeting, is that I have to imagine that people like Chris and Carol, certainly Maddie and Rhea, are going to be much more worried about Vanessa claiming to be anti-Kyle after this very public display of, like, don't worry. Like, we've already talked about how it's okay for her to say bad things about me. So that wasn't great for Vanessa.
Has she been claiming to be very anti-Kyle?
Oh, everywhere. Every single person, like that, like half the house knows she's anti-Kyle or suspects it, because, you know, she's been trying to get into an alliance with Rhea and Maddie, and they are like, but she's close with Kyle. And Carol's been like, no, she's not close with Kyle. I promise you, she's against Kyle. And she's been talking, right, and she's been talking with Chris about anti-Kyle stuff. I'm more with you, Chris, than I am with Kyle. All of this stuff. And I have to imagine that this is going to damage Vanessa's game. The problem is it has nothing to do with Min's game. Min is not cleared of anything with this. It just looks like Vanessa played Min by pretending to be against Kyle the whole time, and Min then went and did a bunch of shady stuff. When in reality, Vanessa was the one that turned Min on Kyle in the first place. And Vanessa was doing all of that shady stuff. Min was just occasionally spreading it to too many people. So again, it wasn't great for Vanessa, but it did not work the way that Min needed it to. And then it got even worse, because then Vanessa is, unfortunately for Min, better at this than Min is. And Vanessa's like, well, Min, I remember when you were talking about Sue and how Sue's boyfriend should be ashamed of her behavior with Jamar. And Min is like, what? I never said that. She definitely said that. What? I never said that. And like the thing is, Vanessa and Carol were in that conversation too. They were agreeing with her. They've talked smack about everybody that Min has talked smack about. But Min is too busy denying that she ever said it to point out that they said it too, that they were in that conversation, and she has so much dirt on them. She's not saying almost any of it, and I'm just like, what are you doing, Min? Why are you so focused on Kyle, who you have no dirt on? You have no dirt on Kyle. You just have speculation. You have so much dirt on Vanessa. You're not saying any of it, and it's not going to work for you, Min. And so it's not a good house meeting for Min.
Her and Jamar are in big trouble because all they're doing, their entire campaign is based off of targeting Chris and Kyle, and people don't want to target Chris and Kyle, so they're not getting any traction. It's like you said, they don't have anything on Kyle. You're sitting here and no one wants to target him, so stop acting like targeting him. She goes off, I'm not scared to do this. I'm smart. I can win challenges. I can go after Kyle. No one wants Kyle out, so who is going to take that as some great, oh, you're right, I should keep you because they don't care.
Mm-hmm. And Maddie even there are various points where like she really should understand that this is a losing argument. That there's a moment where she's talking with Vanessa prior to the house meeting where she starts talking about how Kyle needs to go and that Kyle's the real threat. And Vanessa says, yeah, that's what you should be focusing on. Not me, right? Like, that's what you should focus on, the Kyle argument. And the fact that Vanessa wants you to do this should indicate to you that it's a dead end, that there's nowhere to go, and that there are pain points elsewhere, that there are things that Vanessa does not want you to reveal, things that Vanessa and her allies don't want you to reveal. If Vanessa is really working with Kyle entirely, and you talking about going after Kyle doesn't bother her, that should be screaming to you that you are on the wrong path, but she doesn't see it. She doesn't hear it. She's talking in the house meeting, and Maddie says, you're saying all of the same things that Michael said last week. If we didn't keep Michael, why would we keep you? Which is a very good argument, and Min doesn't really have a good response.
Did JL say that, or was it Maddie?
Maddie was saying that.
JL made some good points too.
JL also got involved. JL definitely. JL came away okay in this as well. So that's going on there, and it's just not working. It's just not working with Min here, unfortunately. But some more stuff is going to happen because Jamar is continually getting frustrated with the state of like what's happening here. And he at various points starts like standing up, starts like pacing, and he's like this is not okay. You're going after her. This is not her fault. She's being framed. She's being set up. She's being lied on. And you know, Kyle and Vanessa in particular are really kind of like egging him on. And he eventually starts talking about how, you know, muscles don't mean anything outside the house. He makes a couple of comments that all that strength training won't mean anything when you get popped outside of here. He says that you know, you won't be. Oh crap! I have
the exact one. I'll read it here. So it says, his quote is, I listened to this several times. If it was outside of here, you already know what would happen. Muscles don't help you in here. Muscles don't help you outside of here. All that weight training just to get popped.
Yes. I believe he also said that you wouldn't be so tough with a 45 in your face. And you know, not good. But it's a complicated situation because Vanessa and Kyle are also talking like, you know, you need to calm down. You're being intimidating. You're being aggressive. And so Jamar says, like, hey, I apologize if I'm intimidating you. And Vanessa's like, no, I am intimidated right now. And then they start complaining about these comments about, you know, getting popped and stuff like that. And that's around when the feeds cut and then stay down for the rest of the day. But very quickly, there was also, while this was happening, Brooke and Sheldon went up to the HOH room and give us a hint of what the fallout here is, which is that which is that Sheldon is like, this is great for us. The heat is all on Kyle and Vanessa. This is working out well. We're totally cool with this. Essentially, nothing has changed. If anything, this just further solidifies exactly what he wanted. And so it doesn't seem like much will change based on this House meeting strategically. However, like I said, the feeds went down after Jamar made those comments, after Kyle and Vanessa in particular, but also some others, complained about the comments. And we heard from Jamar's Twitter account, which is run by his family, that they were in contact with production, and production told them that they had not made a decision yet. And so my assumption, obviously, is that he was being talked to in the diary room. This sort of thing has happened in the past. It hasn't really happened in BB Canada yet, so they might handle things differently. But in the US, when people have made comments about violence, especially outside of the House, they are generally talked to and essentially told, don't do that. Calm down. Don't do that. If you continue to do that, we'll have to kick you out. Just don't do that. They usually don't eject you for comments about violence unless you actually do the violence. And so my assumption is that Jamar will be fine, and that the feeds have been down this long because this is just Big Brother Canada's MO. They shut the feeds down. They don't want anybody talking about it, and so they're going to keep the feeds down until they stop talking about it. And then, cool. The only thing I think that you might want to worry about with Jamar is if they get him into the diary room and they say, look, you need to calm this down. You need to go and apologize. And he says, I don't want to apologize. That might be an issue. That might be why things are taking so long, because they don't know what to do in that circumstance. That might be what's happening. Obviously, everything that's happening with the virus in the world could also be impacting things to some degree. Although I'm more in the camp of this probably still has to do with Jamar. But that's where we're at here. We're just waiting to see where this is going to go.
I know a lot of people online have had a lot of different thoughts about this. It's hard to speak on. A lot of people say Jamar overreacted. A lot of people said that he obviously didn't mean it, and he's been being antagonized all day. In the morning when he had the conversation with Sue, he was sitting down. He was obviously very flustered and wanting Kyle and Chris to be targeted. And Sue kept telling him to calm down, stop raising your voice. And then he said, no, I'm not raising my voice. And then he raised it and said, this is raising my voice. And she's like, whoa, calm down. And I can understand how frustrated he would be in this situation of constantly having that. Him and Min were very frustrated in the meeting, and they were showing their frustrations outwardly. And then we have Kyle and Vanessa are sitting back and laughing at them. There was many times in the House meeting, everyone was laughing at them. I understand there would be a lot of pressure for that. You could argue that it was very obviously his statements were hyperbolic. I also allegedly Kyle has said that morning that he would snap Jamar.
I haven't seen that. So I'm not going to comment on it. I don't want to say it unless we have a clip.
So that's what people are talking about. It's a really frustrating situation. If it so happens to be in regards to the virus as to why the feeds are down, Ontario, the province in that where Big Brother is being filmed, declared a state of emergency today. So all restaurants and things have to close down, but pharmacies, etc., office buildings are able to remain open. So it really just depends on what. I don't know if they get to make their own call. I don't know if if they have some sort of call that'll be made by the province. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. So what Jamar's, I believe it's his brother on Twitter has said is that he asked if they have any updates on the current situation, and they're letting Jamar blow off steam in the diary room. They haven't decided on what to do yet, and that was some 16 hours ago. So. that was the last update from Jamar's Twitter account. Obviously production's not gonna really tell the family anything until they make a decision, and it's probably more vague than it needs to be. Like I said, I doubt that anything is going to come from this, but you never know. It's always possible. But that's about where we stand here in the house. Feeds are still down. We're gonna wait for them to come up. I believe what we'll see when the feeds come back up is everyone's fine. Everyone's kumbaya, and anytime they talk about this, the fees will cut, and Min will be going home, and we're all just gonna continue with our lives.
I will say one funny moment from the house meeting is Min was going to each individual person and asking, did I ask you to throw the HOH? Did I ask you to throw the HOH? And she got to Chris and said, did I ask you to throw the HOH? And he's like, well, I couldn't play, so no. And a lot of the arguments were like being mad at each other, but then in between being like, you're a great person. I would love to be friends with you outside the house. But they were like so angry while they're doing it. I don't trust you in here, but I love you. You're so great. Angrily.
Yeah. So that's about what we have for you today. This was a little bit longer than I thought it would be. I tried to throw in as much detail from what little we had as I could. But that's about what we have.
A while. From the beginning of when Min said, I'm going to call a house meeting to when it ended, it was a couple hours. It was not bad.
Yeah. So that's what we have for you. This wasn't live on YouTube, but will be uploaded to YouTube after the fact. So I apologize for those that were looking for it on YouTube, but you maybe you're watching it now and you didn't even know. It should be fine for the audio stuff. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Now, of course, make sure you check out my Twitter page at Armstrong Terran. I'll be tweeting out the link for the survey tonight for the roundtable at 9 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you fill out the survey before the podcast so that you can get your opinions in on the house guests and their ratings. We'll update the ratings. The Stock Watch will have the first price update. We'll see what happens there. And then we'll, of course, talk about everything that's been going on in the house up to this point, which I'm sure will be, it's going to be a packed roundtable tonight. So make sure you tune in for that.
I'm expecting a paddle.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Mel, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mel Hulst. And if you see me kicking around the internet at Pesky Muggles, that's my other weird name.
There you go. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and I will see you next time.